We all know design matters. I happen to think designers matter too. Hey you, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to Business of Design, episode 111. We are going to be talking about how to hire so you can scale your business, grow your business. And if you're anything like me, you may have in the back of your mind lurking somewhere a fantasy about the perfect business partner. I used to fall asleep at night thinking of this person. The perfect business partner would know just what to do in every situation. They would be able to bill clients for all the time and expertise we gave to projects. They would know exactly how to handle the trades, the suppliers, and don't even get me started about the clients. They would be client whisperers. This was how my thinking went. And in fact, if I tallied up all the tasks I sort of attributed to this fantasy business partner, there would be very little left for me to do. Just the fun stuff, right? Go shop for fabric, choose the furniture, all the good parts that I love. I spent a lot of time thinking that I needed this person to help me run the business because obviously I was deficient. I didn't know how to do it right. Turns out there's nothing wrong with me and there's nothing wrong with you. We just weren't taught the systems and strategies we need when we went to school so we could run our businesses effectively and efficiently. Now we know them. It sounds so easy. Believe me, it wasn't easy as I set out to create them and improve them. A lot of bumps and bruises along the way, but man, we're there. It feels good. And as a testament to how effectively the systems and strategies work, you are going to hear from real-life partners, Virginia Toledo and Jessica Geller. They are fabulous designers with a success story that's all about their willingness to put everything they thought they knew aside and try things a new way. They are no secret in the industry. They were recently named as part of the next wave of Who to Watch by House Beautiful, which is very exciting. And they're going to share their experience with how ineffective hiring was prior to having systems and how easy it can be to hire once you have protocols and procedures in place. I can't say enough nice things about these two fabulous women and the amazing designer who turned us on to them. Thank you, Gail M. Davis in New York City. If you don't follow Gail, you really should. And she was on the podcast way back when, but we need to get her back, obviously. Let me tell you a little bit about Toledo Geller. They are a boutique firm and interior design partnership based out of Englewood, New Jersey. They work all through New Jersey, but also in New York City, so they have a pretty wide umbrella. When they made the move out to the suburbs, their business changed a little, but it turned out to be really for the best. They now focus on young families whose homes are in the $1 million range and empty nesters whose homes are in the $5 million plus range. Another advantage of really grooming those repeat and referral customers is they do get older and they do have more money to spend on property. After the episode, go to businessofdesign.com, check out the show notes, and you're going to see a variety of links there which refer to things Virginia and Jessica have mentioned during the conversation. To set up the show, I'm going to read something that Virginia and Jessica said to us. Over the years, we've hired many failed assistants and employees in an effort to scale our business. We finally feel like we might have our dream team in place, fingers crossed, and we think that it's due to really defining where we need help the most, the things we don't do well and should pass on to someone else. Since we've had a successful partnership for so long, a part of our struggle in hiring someone else is that we really share a vocabulary and a brain, which might be intimidating for someone to come on board and break through. We think it's helpful to hear this not from a firm that just started out and developed a team very quickly, but instead from a design duo who've been together 13 years before the light bulb went off. And I'm glad they mentioned that, honestly, because there was so much shame for me around admitting after more than a decade in business and serving a lot of customers that I just did not have it figured out. And there was also a light bulb moment for me where I realized it didn't matter how hard I worked. I was not going to be able to get where I needed to go on my own steam. I didn't have solutions. The solutions, by the way, spoiler alert, are systems and strategies and procedures, period, end of discussion. There's nothing else. So that's the eat your vegetable message. The rest of the show, though, is going to be about how they implemented specific strategies that helped them hire effectively, and then the explosion of their business, which is so exciting. And I will say, not unique to Business of Design's community of peers. So if you're thinking you really are ready to get serious and implement some systems and strategies, I can't recommend doing so enough. Something else that's exciting, we have our winners of Sarah Vermont's Career Rookie and Career Gasm books. Thank you so much for everyone who shared what they wish they had learned in design school. Like Tanya Bell from Green Room Interiors in Melbourne. And I learned when I was in Australia to say Melbourne and not Melbourne. So thank you for all of that. And I miss it. I want to go back. I'm ready. So Tanya wished she had learned more about how to network and feels like that's been invaluable to growing her business over the last few years. Tanya, you're going to receive a copy of Career Rookie, which is Sarah's second book. And Sarah's first book, Career Gasm, is going to Michelle Fleishacker. I hope I didn't mess up your name, Michelle. You are living in Calgary, and Michelle runs a company called Room Service Interiors. And Michelle commented that she wished she had learned to navigate social media and marketing and branding and detailed billing practices. So quite a long list. And the fact of the matter is, none of us is good at everything, so we do need to outsource. And that brings me to the next point, which is it really doesn't matter what school you went to or if you didn't go to school at all. The true impetus is on each one of us to continue to educate ourselves, to advocate for ourselves, and to learn as much as we can. And that's our mission at Business of Design, to make sure that we're all learning all the time. Me, oh my gosh, my head explodes from all the new things I learn on a monthly basis. And I get really excited to make little changes to how we operate things, to make things better, to make systems stronger and more efficient. So thanks to all of you for your great comments, and enjoy those books, Michelle and Tanya. And thank you, Sarah Vermont, again. And I'll just say, I hope you will all listen to the very end of this episode. I really considered making this a two-parter because it's so meaty. Right to the last moment, these guys are full of incredibly valuable information. And I love that they mentioned reading their contract line by line at the consultation resulted in them getting 100% of the projects they went up for. That's been my experience. That has been the experience of hundreds of other people. And yet I meet designers every single day who are so resistant to that simple idea. I really encourage you just to try it. Contempt prior to examination will leave you in ignorance forever. So just try it. Let's check in with Cheryl Horn. Cheryl, episode 111. That has to be lucky. 3 ones has to be some kind of luck somewhere.
It should be. Yeah. It should be for sure. But I can't believe it's 111. I know we said this at 100 and at 50, but it goes by so quick.
It really does. And it feels as fresh today as it did in episode number 1. So that's exciting.
Let's mention our retreat again. The Business of Design Elite Retreat in Santa Monica, coming up on October 24th to 27th. It's going to be here before you know it. 2,800. Maybe you can tell them what they're going to learn.
Elite retreat. Why do we say it's elite? Well, it's elite because it's a small, intimate gathering, because we're going to get vulnerable with each other and we're going to really share what's happening in our businesses. We're going to open up some pathways that maybe have been closed. We're going to get technical. We're going to get into profitability. We're going to get into commitment and accountability and really owning where you're going in the year ahead. So I hope you will join us. I would say it's 50% hard learning and 50%, oh my gosh, luxurious, fabulous, incredible opportunities to step into private homes. We'll be focusing on Malibu Beach, Santa Monica, and Venice Beach. I promise you'll have a feel for all of those cities, which are close to each other on the coast here in Los Angeles. if you think Los Angeles is just Hollywood and Vine, I hope you'll come and experience my neck of the woods. I want to share it with you, and I'm definitely going to take you to a couple of my happy places, those places I go back to over and over and over again, and share with you about the architecture and the garden design and all those kinds of wonderful things. So do come out.
Well, and even for the BOD team, the first one was an amazing experience. So I'm really looking forward to this one. I hope you'll join us.
Exactly. Thanks, Cheryl.
Welcome to the Business of Design podcast with Kimberley Seldon. Business of Design is the coaching community for independent designers like you. We know it takes more than hard work and talent to successfully run a professional design firm. There are proven business strategies that can solve your immediate challenges and transform your life. Don't try to do this alone. Join today and you'll have access to more than 100 video courses, participate in monthly coaching calls, and find unlimited support within our exclusive members-only Facebook group. Unlike traditional coaching, BOD is a fast track to immediate results for independent interior designers, decorators, architects, stagers, and landscapers just like you. Monthly membership is only $79. Annual members save 2 months and have access to Kimberly's contracts. What are you waiting for? We all know design matters. At Business of Design, we think designers matter too.
This is like the most fun thing ever. When we record the podcast, we often will have a video so we can see each other. I'm in my pajamas, and these two beautiful women show up wearing what looks like, are you guys wearing matching outfits? Is that what partners do? They wear matching outfits?
We do this all of the time, but we're both wearing white turtlenecks, sweater turtlenecks.
Oh my gosh, you're just in each other's heads.
Dark blue jeans. I think we need to take a picture.
Can you share your camera with me?
Oh yeah. Oh, there we go.
Oh my gosh, hi.
White.
Oh, that's hysterical.
The uniform.
So does this happen when you're partners? You just automatically start dressing the same when you show up to work?
We have done it so many times that the most embarrassing is when we do it to like a client presentation or a meeting. One time we were both wearing cobalt blue dresses with big necklaces. One time we were wearing both Chanel kind of looking jackets, Tweety jackets. We were and that was the first meeting, so it was even more embarrassing. We're standing at their apartment door hey.
Here we are. Oh my gosh, so fun. Okay, now you're bringing up all those feelings of past regret. I always wanted a partner, and you guys make it look like it's just the most awesome, fun thing in the whole world.
It is. Yeah, we don't want to do it without each other, so we're blessed that way.
How did you meet?
On Craigslist.
You are making that up.
I am not totally making it up.
Wait a minute. What? Okay. What?
I know we always get that reaction, but it's true. Yeah. So in 2006, I started the company, Great Time to Be in Business. And then soon after I was busy, I was doing it under the umbrella of a design build firm I had been working for. And I put out an ad on Craigslist for help. I needed another designer to help me. And Jessica was one of the people that applied. And from there, she started working with me. And then soon after that, we actually became official business partners.
That's insane. In a billion years, it wouldn't have occurred to me to do something like that.
Yeah, I know. It was definitely fate. There's no other way to look at it because I was a career changer. It was the first and only ad I had responded to because I kind of thought I wanted to do it on my own, but let me get some experience. And I clearly, thank God, I had no idea what I was doing. So I could never have done it on my own. And that probably would have been evident very quickly. But it was literally the only ad I ever answered. And I was like, oh, this chick sounds kind of fun. She says it was almost like a dating site. She was like, the way I wrote the ad spoke to her. So it's we always said we wish we would have kept that. I know. I framed it or something.
Oh, you don't have it anymore. So is it swipe right or swipe left if you want to keep someone?
We don't know. Unfortunately, we're both married. Fortunately, we're married.
Okay, so but you swipe the right way for each other. Whichever the right way is, you swipe the right way, which is awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you for doing this. It's so funny. We connected, but we never got around to doing a podcast. And then Gail Davis in New York City, who I just love, said, oh, this is too much already. Get them on the podcast. They're on fire. We've got to hear what the secret sauce is. So
the secret sauce. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're thrilled. We absolutely adore you, and definitely just want to take a moment and thank you for your program that you even came up with this.
You've like changed our lives. We literally, and often you can't even count the amount of times that we'll be like, what would Kimberley Seldon do?
Exactly. You know, like what would Jesus do? It's like we need the WJD and we need a WWKSD.
We actually have bracelets that say WWKSD. We actually have bracelets. I'm going to send you some. Yeah. Hold on. I'll show you one. Hold on. I'm in my pajamas still. It's super early here. Can you see it?
Oh my gosh.
That is crazy.
Amazing.
That's so funny. Oh my God, you guys, that's so sweet of you. Thank you. I launched Business of Design because I was dying, and I was so lucky. I was so lucky. I just started talking about it, and it saved my life, and it turns out other people can relate, so that's great too. Jessica, you originally reached out to talk about scaling your office. Is that how we first connected?
Yes, we have in the past had a few different people filling a position, but that position has always been like a really broad position because we were trying to make them do everything that we needed, which was just too much for any one person to handle. So my original question was, how do we scale it? Like, if you're going to hire one person, what's that role best to do? What kind of person is that? Somebody who's going to be admin? Is it an office manager? Is it a purchasing coordinator? Is it another designer? I think for us in the past, we've always really tried to find another designer or, like a junior designer who could wear every single hat, but we were probably just asking way too much of that kind of a person. And we've also, we have the benefit of having one another. And so we're also always been like looking for a mini-me, but we realize that that's pretty hard to find. Until recently we found our mini-me.
She's sitting
right there
to the right of me.
Oh my gosh. Is she wearing a beautiful white turtleneck also? Is she wearing a white turtleneck also?
She's wearing a gray sweater.
Okay, so close. Okay, so since you first reached out to talk about scaling your business, a lot's happened. What has happened?
So I think to start with...
Oh my gosh, there's a beep that I'm hearing. And would you hear it? What is it?
Yeah, I just heard it now. But we've become immune to it. It's a beeping dead alarm somewhere in our studio
that our
space.
Landlord can't find.
No one can locate.
On the wrong day, he would find me with like a hammer in my hand and too much caffeine, and I'd just be going around the office smashing things until that noise stopped. But okay, everybody, you're going to have to bear with us because you're going to hear that beep too. Okay, like, wow. Okay, amazing. Okay, so since you reached out about scaling your office, you've just had a huge explosion and growth. What happened? What's going on with you guys now?
So, I mean, it's easy to explain that. I think once we became members of your coaching community, we soaked up whatever you were serving. I mean, we became somewhat obsessed. Like, I would get to the office and tell Jessica what I learned. She'd tell me what she learned. And we implemented your 15 steps. Your contract is now our contract. We had our attorney look at it and whatnot. But by implementing that and doing what you say and sticking to your systems, everyone follows these steps. It doesn't matter if it's a small project or a large project. It helps streamline the business. And then basically, because things weren't as chaotic, I think, because prior to that, I kind of feel like we'd work one way with client A. And since client B was just a little bit different, we worked slightly different with them and so on and so forth. And so once our process became streamlined, it just opened us up to see the business in a different light. I keep aligning it to like being a little corporate. I mean, we are a corporation, but we'll talk about that a little further and about how many entrepreneurs, whether interior designers or not, don't think of their businesses as a business. And you talk about that so much. We were those people for a very long time until we became members of your coaching community. So we're in business 13 years now. It's only been about a year since we've been with you. And by streamlining the business, I mean, this has been our most productive year ever.
I'm so excited for you guys. And for the record, truly, I didn't key you up to thank Business of Design, but that was really nice. That happens a lot. We have these moments where people go, I love Business of Design. And I feel like, oh, people are going to think I paid you to do it. But anyway, that was
not a paid advertisement.
Yeah, thank you. That's awesome. And by the way, that was Virginia you heard from, right? Jessica, I got it right?
You got it right.
Okay. So now that you have kind of had all this growth, it sounds like your experience was like mine. Once I implemented systems, it was so easy to hire because it became so clear. I need help with step 4. Like, oh, it's so obvious. I need a person who can prepare quote requests and get estimates from trades and turn that into a client estimate. And so it became really clear who I needed to hire. Is that what happened for you guys too?
Absolutely. It was, I was doing a lot. We, as business partners, obviously, we have different skills that we bring to the table. We both obviously love the creative aspect, but there were behind the scenes things that we would break up, and it was just a very natural, Jessica takes care of this, Virginia takes care of that. And so we both kind of looked at our workload and realized what made the most sense for us to pass off onto another person. So the first thing that we did was we hired a freelance draftsman. Second thing we did was hire somebody to do the purchasing. So like my time used to be completely bogged down with purchasing and following up with the orders and making sure that everything was where it needed to go and what time, and people were being billed appropriately and all of that good stuff, which is so important. And I, as like a very type A, really neurotic person, had a very hard time letting go of that. But Virginia was like, you have to let go, right? Because we'll never be able to grow if you're doing this. And like, anybody can do that,
and I was no better because I loved the drafting and that was my baby. And I never felt that if we brought someone in, they were going to do it to the level I was going to do it to. They were going to miss a detail and then, oh no, it's going to be built wrong. And then we're going to be liable and we have to pay for it. And so I think it's important to talk about that part of it on this episode, in that so often we get in our own way. I mean, for so long, Jessica would like leave with like all the invoices in her arm, I'm going to do this at home while right. I'm, whatever, and I, when my daughter was small, I'd put her to bed and then I'd start drafting till 1 o'clock in the morning. It's almost like laughable that we did those things right. Now in hindsight.
Crazy looking back and thinking about.
But there was no other way at that time. That's the only option we saw at that time.
Oh my God, right. My job is done. You guys are taking over now. You're in charge of Business of Design. I was just going to go sit on a beach. Yeah, your story is exactly my story. Like we literally would call it the second shift when the kids would go to bed. And then my husband was working for 5 hours after the kids went to bed on my business. I wasn't billing clients for his time. So, right? Like, happy anniversary, honey. Sorry, I can't go out to dinner because I just got to finish these invoices. Like, it's crazy.
Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then it's a sort of a snowball effect because you're not billing appropriately most of the time when you're in that position. So now not only are you working after hours, you're not being compensated for it. So naturally, as a human being, you're going to grow resentful. You're going to start feeling like, you even look at yourself poorly because you're doing something wrong. And now with social media, all your competitors all look like they're doing something right because we only show our best selves. It ultimately adversely affects your business because you're going to feel down about it. And how can you be productive in that sort of mindset?
Do you remember what the first system you implemented was and what that meant to you?
Gosh, I mean, we actually did a few at the same time. So we have a red binder I'm looking at right here, like you said to do. You said, get a binder that everyone follows. And so we just kind of like split it up and said, let's start making systems for things as basic as creating a purchase order, or when we're creating a set of drawings, what are the drawings that need to be on there? So there are a variety of systems, I think, that we just developed at the same time.
And we have like lists on our phones when something, oh my gosh, we need to add that to our system, so that we just have a running track of what it is. But we have, for installation days, like I can't tell you how many times we would be like, oh my God, did you remember to bring furniture pads? And did you remember to be Gugan, whatever it was? And like for 10 years, we never remembered to bring it. But now the day before an installation, we look at that list. We have a bag already put together of all those things, but we check, make sure everything is in the bag. Or if not, we go out and take care of that. But it's like these systems that are just so like no brainer to us now is something that it took us so long to implement.
Oh my gosh, that makes me so happy. Yeah, we have a series of courses called the Checklist Series, and one of them is super short, and it's just what's in the styling bag, like furniture pads and Gugan. That's in the styling bag. Because we would do the same thing. Like, do you have scissors? No. Do you have scissors? How are we going to open all these boxes if we don't have scissors? Right?
Like, or even like bringing the printed furniture plan. Like we didn't look at that. Right? We were like, what were we thinking? And we would scrambling to find it on our laptop without internet connection, or, pulling it up in Dropbox, which we have access to, but on a phone. Like, it was just like, print the freaking plan.
All right. So good. Okay. So now with a lot of systems and procedures in place, what was the hiring experience like?
So the first position that we sought out to hire was a purchasing coordinator. Business was good. It's still good, knock on wood. And so that's a huge chunk of, the project, as you know. And so we defined what that role would be, like really got down to the nuts and bolts of it. And then even thought about who would the ideal person be for that position. It can't be someone, I think, because our knee-jerk reaction all the time is to look for someone who knew interior design, or, was a design enthusiast, or had to be design related. And, we quickly realized that that's not the characteristic of this type of person. So with those kind of things in mind, we put out an ad and we interviewed furiously. And I think that's one of the takeaways for everyone listening, is that, it took us so long to even get to this point. And so it's just as important to find that right person. And oftentimes we feel desperate. We need to hire someone, like, let's just get someone through the door. We have kissed a lot of frogs along the way because we weren't hiring effectively, because we really didn't know what we needed, and for, different reasons. But with this role, we knew we weren't going to give up. We weren't going to settle until we found the person we were looking for.
So we found somebody that we thought was a good fit. She was highly admin focused. And so we had her come in for a trial day or two, and we gave her some really specific things to work on. And it was super clear that she was not going to be coordinated enough to figure that out. So we paid her for her time and said, thank you, but it's not the right fit. Then we had another person come in and do that same thing. And she ended up being our rock star, and we hired her. We were so excited to have her on our team. And just spending a few hours with her, obviously there's a lot. She had never come from, an interior design purchasing background, but we knew that she was detail oriented and, could handle it. And personality wise, having her with us in the space like that, it's a small business, having personalities that mesh and meld together is so important. So we knew that there's a lot to learn, but she was the right fit.
I'm going to ask you guys to watch. We just are launching a hiring course this year, and it took a long time to finally get all my processes in place for creating an effective hiring strategy. And one of the things in it is exactly what you said. You have to give people actual tasks and see if they can do them. And one of the things that used to happen to me is I would just I think Virginia said it, I would just hire anyone with a pulse because I was so desperate to get the work. And then I'd be too busy to actually carefully review their work. So it would be months before I realized, wait a minute, this person is not doing anything. They don't know how to do anything.
I've been there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have been able to scale the business because we actually put the processes and procedures in place that allowed us to hire people. And now I don't think it's ironic that we have the most projects we've ever had at one time. It's not like the economy is booming right now that, we should have this insane spike.
There was a time, it still happens. My husband literally every time I come home from work, he's like, so did you get a new job today? Because every day for like 2 months, we got a new consultation, a new job, like literally every day. Yeah. And he's like, so which job did you get today? Because of exactly what we're saying. Like it just, you put it out there into the universe and the universe delivers.
That is so true what you said. You put it out to the universe and the universe delivers. But if you weren't prepared by having a solid foundation, it would all fall apart. It wouldn't matter if you got 1,000 customers. You wouldn't be able to satisfy any of them. I love the title that you came up with, Hiring to Scale Your Business. So that's our topic, hiring to scale your business. You're at a point where you want to grow your business. You need to hire. How do you do that? Before I forget, I do want to ask you, what is your current hourly rate for the two of you? And what do you charge out your purchasing agent? What do you charge her out at?
So the hourly rate for myself and for Virginia is $250 an hour. But if we're doing a task that requires both of us to be involved in, or it's a meeting with our clients that we're both present at, then it's $350 an hour.
I can see doing that if you're there in support of one another versus each of you doing a different thing. So for example, if one of you was meeting face-to-face with the client and the other one was measuring the space, then I would say you need to charge for both of those people. But I do understand if you're partners and you want to be at every meeting together because you share a brain, that would make sense to me. And I'm glad that rate is up and over the $200 mark. How long have you been at $250 an hour?
That's very recent. So I want to say a month at this point.
Right. The idea is that, so we had started our business in New York City, and there was a time that we were $300 an hour, but then we moved to New Jersey and we didn't feel like that was appropriate. So we scaled down to $200 an hour, and this $250 has been probably a month or two.
Mm-hmm. $295 strikes me as being so much better than $250 though. You know what I mean?
100%.
I think I should give some thought to it, because the truth of the matter is when you're super busy, that's a great time to raise your rate because you really can't handle all that business.
Right.
So you can weed out a few customers by raising your rate. So that's something to think about. And then you hired this mini me. What do you bill her time out at?
So our mini me is actually not even the purchasing coordinator that we mentioned. That's our design assistant. So our design assistant is billed at $115 an hour, and our purchasing coordinator is billed at $75 an hour.
This is really great that you're willing to share this information. I meet so many designers, and I just met some recently at KBIS in Las Vegas who are charging like $95 an hour as the senior designer responsible for the whole project. And what you said is you have a junior designer you're charging $115 an hour for. That's what mine go out for as well. So if you're charging less than $150 an hour, just you're kind of charging in the range of a junior designer.
Right, mm-hmm. right. It's just so detrimental for the whole industry when we don't sort of set a bar in terms of level of expertise. We always draw parallels to attorneys and that kind of thing. I'd never go to an attorney's office and expect one of the partners to be billed at $95 or $115 an hour. In fact, I'd be concerned that they weren't prepared or knowledgeable enough to deal with my case. But we just don't have that in this industry because there are just all of these varying fees that people charge for many of the reasons that I think we'll get into. Again, getting in our own way, not validating what we bring to the table, our expertise and all of that. And I'm not trying to say it's easy at all. And in fact, I think that's why I'm so appreciative of my partnership with Jessica, because if there's anyone that will ever sort of, get a bit apprehensive about raising rates and that kind of thing, it's me. And Jessica's always sort of, that cheerleader and reminding us that, no, this is, it's our expertise. Together, we're together 13 years. We have previous experience before that and so on and so forth. But it's very easy to just say, no, I'm going to, it's fine. Enough. This will do. It's easy for me. And many of your guests have reiterated that kind of thing. And so they feel badly about charging a certain rate or what have you.
What was that quote that I found I just showed you yesterday? I'm sorry, I'm looking at my phone, but I have to pull it up because,
that was a good one.
So good. It says, if I do a job in 30 minutes, it's because I spent 10 years learning how to do that in 30 minutes. You owe me for the years, not the minutes. It was in one of your Business of Design Premium members had said that in the Facebook group. And I was just like, oh my God, that makes so much sense.
It's so true. It's so true. So I'm really glad to hear that you're charging for all those people who work for you as well, because the other thing I meet a lot is the designer who says, well, I charge for my time, but I couldn't possibly charge for a purchasing agent. And I'm like, why can't you charge for a purchasing agent? If the client didn't hire you, they'd have to deal with the manufacturer or supplier to give them that product. And all of that time would be their time spent, and they probably would do it wrong.
Exactly. We haven't had too much pushback about that, but we recently had somebody question that for the first time and said that it was like midway through and they said they wanted to take back the reins and finish the purchasing. And we're like, that's impossible at this point. Like we're more than halfway through purchasing and now we have to manage it. And yeah, it seems like it's a lot of hours, but guess what? It's because it is a lot of hours.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like a lot of hours. It is a lot of hours. And it's complicated work too, because the vendors will tell us things like, oh yeah, that's in stock. And then we find out it's in stock in Germany. It's not in stock in New Jersey. Like those are two different things, right? You gave the example of a lawyer. You'd be concerned about a lawyer who was $95 an hour. At my age, I think about a plastic surgeon. If I went to a plastic surgeon, right, and get the facelift that I think I need, I'd want it to be the most expensive plastic surgeon in the country, not the least expensive plastic surgeon, right?
Agreed.
Right. So, but maybe if I needed like a skin tag removed, I would go to the inexpensive person, right? So I guess it depends on what that customer is looking for. And I want to put myself out there to attract those customers who are looking for a high-end luxury experience.
Right. But don't you think that if we all got to a level playing field, then we can, granted, not all clients are, maybe most, we could say even most clients wouldn't be prepared to spend that. But those aren't our clients, like you say all the time. And there are enough of the big box stores that offer a consultant at the, decorating desk or whatever you want to call it, that could take care of that demographic. But if we all sort of create a level playing field here where when a consumer wants to purchase design services, they know what to expect. I mean, I wish we could get there, and maybe we can at some point with, programs like yours. But in the meantime, the consumer is so confused because they're speaking to one designer with 10 years of experience. It's not charging appropriately. And then they'll come to people like us and we have our fees. And so they're like, what, am I being ripped off? Or is that person not charging enough? It's not their fault that we haven't streamlined this collectively.
One of my greatest disappointments is the fact that I graduated from design school in 1991. And since that point and now, the consumer is not only not educated about the value we bring to a project, but they're more confused than ever. I look at the career of being an architect, and there's books written about the genius of an architect. And there's kind of this hierarchy where people think architects do this wonderful work. But every time an interior design professional is portrayed in the media, it's somebody who's doofy, daffy, barely works, is looking at paint swatches all day and agonizing over leopard or zebra stripes, right? It's always a joke. So I really feel like one of the One of the missions that Business of Design has to take on beginning in 2020 is educating consumers about the value that interior design professionals bring to the world, because it's just not happening. Despite all promises, it's just not happening.
Agreed. Totally.
And I do think, I know exactly what you're saying. Like, I wish we could all kind of be clear about the level of service you're getting. But then on the other hand, I think maybe we are clear. Maybe it's evident to your customers at $250 an hour. $295 an hour. Maybe it's evident to your customers that that's a level of quality that they want. And if you were $75 an hour, that would be evident to the customer who's attracted to that. So maybe it is sorting itself out, right? Just the way it's supposed to. And you're already there. Like, so often I look around and I think, I can't wait till I get here. And I look around and I think, I'm already there. I just haven't acknowledged it that I'm already there. Like, you're already there, you guys. You did it. You're there. One of the big changes for me, obviously hiring was a huge change. Once I had those systems and procedures, I was able to hire effectively. But delegating, I could never delegate. First of all, I was overwhelmed. I didn't have the bandwidth to even think about how to delegate, but I didn't know how to do it. Have you guys found that delegation has changed for you with implementing different procedures and protocols?
Absolutely. Delegation, I think, was the hardest thing for me to figure out how to do, because, I'm a designer. I'm not necessarily, I don't think of myself as a boss. And that's a really important mind shift to take on when you're now having staff that they have to be busy and they have to take things off of your plate. So, we've definitely gotten better at it. I still find myself sometimes like, oh, I could just do that faster. I'll just take care of it. And then I stop myself and I say, no. This can be done by somebody else just as well as I can do it. Like even yesterday, we found out that there was a light fixture that was back ordered until June, and that's not going to work for us. And so our purchasing coordinator told me, and I said, okay, I'll find one. And I was like, what am I doing? I don't need to find that. Our design assistant can find that. And she did. So it was fine. But I think in terms of having systems in place to do that kind of thing, we probably take on too many jobs at a time. We probably should stop doing that, but we can't get out of our own way in terms of that. So we started using Asana, which is a software that helps you keep track of your tasks. And so that's also helped with delegating, because there's a lot of those little things that come up. And instead of just every time that task comes up to say, oh, you take care of this, you take care of that, we might put it in our Asana task list. And then when we have our weekly staff meeting, that's when we can divvy up and say who's going to take which task off of the project's plate.
When I look at the notes you sent us, it feels like page right out of my playbook. One of the things you said is you encourage your staff to come to you with a solution before asking you to provide a solution. And I remember when that idea was presented to me and the transition from employees who would come to me and go, Kimberly, what are we going to do about blah, 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 to employees who come to me and say, just so you know, this thing happened and here's how I handled it. What a difference.
Right. How can you let somebody grow with you if you tell them how to do things all of the time? It's just, it doesn't benefit you and it doesn't benefit them. So, but that is also another thing that's been really hard for us to mentally make that switch, because again, it's like letting go of that control, figuring out how to let someone into your inner circle. It's a challenge.
And it might be easier for someone that has a new business. For the older dogs out here listening, the adage is it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. And so it's completely applicable. It was probably harder for us because it had just been us for so long. And we were used to being the ones to have to react to that email, to that, construction issue, to whatever it was. And like Jessica's saying, and the advice is, take a moment before you react. I think it's just pause for a few minutes, like train yourself to do that, because it's so easy to just want to provide a solution. But if the topic here is to scale your business, you have to allow your employees to figure some things out for themselves. It's just like our children, right? Like
exactly.
everything for them and catch them every time they stumble, they're not going to learn how to learn from their mistakes. And so, but it doesn't come without fear from, being a business owner, because, you just assume that you know how to fix this problem the best way. But what I can say is that in the short time that we have been experiencing this, at least for me personally, there's a freedom in that, in knowing, when I drive to work in the morning, that there aren't like 100 things on fire, and that our trusted staff has taken care of some things. And no, we haven't been CC'd on every email, and I don't want to be CC'd on every email anymore. There just came a freedom with that I don't think I would have ever even knew existed if we didn't start taking these steps.
I hadn't even thought about that, but I used to like walk into the office and open up my email and see that I had like, from the time it took me to drive to work in the morning to getting there, that there were like 15, 20, 30 emails. And now there's like 5. And most of them are advertisements or spam.
Okay, so you hit on everything that makes me so happy. So first of all, I elicited the help of my staff to stop solving all their problems. So they would come to me, they were used to me solving problems, and I would start to solve the problem, and I would say, wait a minute, we're going to do this differently. And they'd go, oh, okay, let me think of what I would do. I would do this. Okay, do that. That sounds great. And at first it was hard for them too, because they were used to me taking responsibility for everything, because if I made a bad call and it went wrong, they were off the hook because I made a bad call. Right. So then they had to get comfortable from time to time making their own bad calls and having it blow up in their face, and having to explain to me, the boss, that they tried to resolve the situation, but they only made it worse. And that was real growth and real learning for them too. And it was so great. It was part of them becoming autonomous and feeling really empowered in their jobs. And it made a huge difference. We had this, Bruce Coxon was on the Shark Tank or whatever that show is called. And he said, if somebody could do a task 85% as well as you can, you should let them do it. And I was like, oh my God, that's genius. Thank you so much. That's exactly what I needed to know. If they can do the drafting 85% as well as you can, Virginia, you should let them do it. If they can.
I'll tell you, I heard that on your podcast for the first time, months ago. And that helped me tremendously. It's like, oh, okay, that's a thing. Like, they don't have to do it 100% like me.
No. And the big takeaway is, guess what? Sometimes they have a much better solution than I have. Like, there are many times where I think, I would never have thought of that in a million years. Like your Craigslist thing, I would never have thought of that in a million years. So
your partner waiting for you somewhere in Craigslist land.
Oh my gosh, that's too funny. Talk to me about how you feel. What's your confidence level like now compared to what it was like maybe 5 years ago?
Well, I mean, even starting from when I think of confidence, I'm thinking of our first interaction with a client and trying to earn a project. That is, done a complete, 180. I mean, Jessica will probably tell you, when we go into a consultation now, just the fact that we're not trying to, when we go into a consultation, we were trying to sell the whole house, like you say. Now we're just, trying to get that low hanging fruit and get into their house for this paid consultation, not a complimentary consultation. And then once we're there, we're just so empowered because of the systems, procedures, the staff, the capability we have where we didn't have before.
Right. I mean, even I don't think we've gone to a consultation. Sometimes we know going into it, this is a potential job. And sometimes we know this is not a potential job and this is a consultation. And we feel really good about those because we still feel like we are changing their lives in their homes, at least, by giving them really practical, great information that they can implement on their own. But when we go into it and know that it is a potential job, we have gotten, I think, every single one of them since starting to review the contract on the spot with them. And because it's like, we walk into that, like we're the boss, the ball is in our court, we're in your home, but you've asked us to come into your home and we're the professionals. So this is how the story is going to go. And just that shift in dynamic and power has starts from that point, then we're hired and retained. And because we're following these systems and these steps, they are now following our lead. And so they come into we have our design presentation is always in our studio, and we only give them one, I think we hadn't done this for a very long time, but we used to come in with backups or 2 plans. We only give them 1 plan. This is our best foot forward. This is what we know will be best for you. There's obviously a budget conversation that happens at that point, and sometimes changes might be made because of that, but we've not experienced a change being made because they don't trust our vision. So from a design standpoint and from a business standpoint, I think our confidence has skyrocketed in the past year.
And the reception from the client at that consultation, I think so many times clients are so impressed by the steps that you've, developed in the contract. And we know they're interviewing other people because you can just kind of see it in their face where like, oh, wow, this is really comprehensive. And I understand how my project is going to flow from start to finish. And they're typically saying that because they've seen the contrary. They've been interviewing other people that are just kind of very loosey-goosey with it, and just not as comprehensive.
Right.
Yeah.
So their confidence in us is also increasing, which is amazing.
Yeah. Totally.
Well, you guys are invited back anytime you want to talk about any subject you want. So, but no more beeping. You've got to go. You need a hammer. You've got to kill that beep. Whatever that is, it's got to stop today. We end every episode with design intervention, and you've already given us so much. I'm wondering if there's anything left in the chamber, any bit of advice that you would give to people listening so they can have the growth and explosion of growth that you guys have had.
So it's this kind of a broad, I wouldn't say broad. It's, you had Nicole Heimer recently on, and she talked about auditing your brand. Mm-hmm. And I think our actionable takeaway is audit your business or audit the financial aspects of your business. It's so easy to just stay on that hamster wheel and just keep going. Get off of it and analyze the numbers. And that's never the sexy part of the business. And it's probably not things that we excel in. But if you can't do it on your own, there are many financial advisors that you can hire for the day, bring into your office, and look at the numbers. I would be very surprised if most solopreneurs or designers, when they look at how many hours a week they work versus how much they're probably earning minimum wage at best.
Yeah.
But when you're on that hamster wheel, you don't reflect on that. You just kind of keep doing. Do that exercise for yourself and your business. You're worth it. Your business is worth it. And when you actually see what you're earning, and if it's not where you want to be, you need to hire out. If you're billing in the right way, like you've taught us, that hires hours are billable to your client. You're going to pay them the wage they are fairly earned for the task level that you need them to be at. And you're being recompensated by your client and with a markup. And there's no reason that you should be working the 100 hours per week. I mean, you get your life back, you earn more, and you're better to your client for that. And even so much so, I recently ran into another designer friend and was talking to him about, our growth, and even having that conversation, he says, no, I want to do it all. And the misconception, he said, why would I give my profits away? Was his thought. Right. If he had other people doing the work, oh my gosh, I just wanted to shake him and say, no, it doesn't work that way. You're not giving the profits away. And actually it's unfair to you and the client, because why should your client be charged for your, 30 hours of drafting at your per hourly rate when someone at a much more junior level could be doing that? So it's it's not advantageous for either of you. But yeah, I think that would be our first step. Take that financial audit of your business. It's eye-opening.
So good. Such good advice. Where can everybody find you?
We're on Instagram as @Toledo Geller, and our website is www.toledogeller.com.
And what about your Facebook? What's going on there? Don't you have an Ask a Designer?
Oh, We do.
I know.
We do an Ask the Experts series on Facebook every once in a while where we have people write in, send us pictures of a design dilemma that they have. And we have so much fun doing it. We kind of like coffee talk with us where we look at their pictures, we give them real input, it's kind of like a consultation, but over the internet,
Facebook
virtual.
Live. Yeah.
That's so good. Do you think that's impacted how many people phone your office?
I mean, you can find, we don't know. We're one of the things that we struggle with is SEO and all of that
trackable stuff.
Right. So we're not 100% sure but we know it's on YouTube, it's on, Google. So it certainly helps to have all of those kinds of things.
So everybody listening, I'm imagining they're saying, wait a minute, they have an explosive number of clients. They're making huge amount of money and they're not even bothering looking at social media return on investment, your SEO or whatever. How can I get there?
But we're crazy because now when I heard that podcast with Nicole recently, I'm like, oh my gosh, we need to call Nicole because we need to figure that part of the business out. So,
she's in love. I think we're doing some courses with her coming up. I really enjoyed her. Yeah. And I enjoyed this conversation as well with both of you. I just can't say enough nice things about you. Thank you for being so generous with everybody listening. And your success is all of our success. So we all benefit. When one of us wins, we all win. So keep up the good work. And like I said, come back anytime.
Thank you, Kimberly.
Thank you.
Thank you for being a part of the Business of Design community. If you love what you hear on the podcast, take the next step by signing up at businessofdesign.com. As our thank you, you'll gain access to Business of Design's 15-step project management strategy, a free introductory course which includes 3 Business of Design systems you can implement for immediate results. And when you're ready for success, a Business of Design membership, monthly or annual, will dramatically improve your business and your life. What are you waiting for? Together, we will achieve extraordinary results. Start today.